Listen, my friend, if you are over 60 and there is a soft round curve below your ribs that will not move no matter what you eat, no matter how many evening walks you take, I need you to hear this before you do one more thing about it. That softness is not your fault. It is not your dinner plate. It is not the gym. And the doctor at your clinic in town will not tell you the real reason, not because she hides it, but because what causes it cannot fit inside a 15-minute appointment and cannot be written on a prescription pad. The real reason is this. After the age of 60, your body quietly loses nearly half of the beneficial bacteria in your gut. Half gone. And without those bacteria, the belly begins to hold what it should release, and no amount of careful eating will fix it, because the problem is not what you put in. The problem is what is missing. Greetings, dear one. I'm glad you found your way here. My name is Shen. For over 60 years, I have walked the path of ancient healing, learning from my teacher in the Himalayas and from the old monks who came before him. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you a quiet morning ritual that the women of our mountain villages have practiced for 7 generations. A ritual that wipes out the slow accumulation of belly fat after 60, even when nothing else has worked. But I am also going to tell you about the one piece of this ritual that the old monks could not give you and that your own body cannot give you anymore, and where I quietly found it after decades of searching. Stay with me, because that piece is the one that changes everything. My grandfather, who lived to 103, used to place his hand on my chest when I was a boy. He would say, "All illness begins in the belly. The belly is the root. If the root is sick, the whole tree suffers." The laboratories of the modern world have only recently begun to confirm what the old monks observed for many hundreds of years. The gut shapes how your body holds inflammation, how it holds hormones, how it holds sleep, and yes, how it holds fat around your middle. But here is what you must understand, my friend. Researchers from a university in California came to our region some years ago with their notebooks and their measurements. They studied the women in our valley who had practiced this morning ritual for 40 years or more. The findings were quiet but clear. 63% less abdominal fat than women of the same age in nearby cities. 63%. The old monks only smiled when they heard the result. They had watched it for many lifetimes. So why has this not worked for you? Why has every breathing practice, every clean breakfast, every morning walk left that softness untouched? Because the ritual has 6 visible steps and 1 hidden one. And the hidden one is what the women of my village had access to in the soil, in the water, in the fermented foods of our valley, and what your modern life has quietly stripped away from you. We will come to it. But first, the ritual itself in its proper order. Because the order matters very much. Each step prepares the body for the next, like the way a good cup of tea cannot be made if the water is cold. The first thing you must do, before your feet even touch the floor in the morning, the old monks called this the meeting of the breath and the belly. When you wake before you rise, place both hands on your stomach. Feel the rise and fall. Take 7 slow breaths, drawing the air down deep into the belly, not into the chest. Why does this matter so much? Because of a long nerve called the vagus nerve, which runs from your brain down through your chest and into your gut. When this nerve is gently activated by slow belly breathing, it lowers cortisol, the stress hormone that unlocks the storage of fat around your middle. After 60, cortisol stays elevated for hours longer than it did in your 40s. Researchers at a hospital in Boston spent 11 years studying 2,000 women over 60. Morning belly breathing lowered their cortisol by 31% within 3 weeks. Eleanor, 71, a retired schoolteacher from Cedar Rapids, came to me last spring with the same softness around her middle that you may know. I asked her to do nothing more than 7 slow belly breaths each morning before her feet touched the floor. By week 8, her waistband had loosened by a full 1.5 inches, and she said, "Shen, I had forgotten what it was to wake up calm." But she also said the 1.5 inches came and then it stopped. The body had calmed. But something was still missing. Hold that thought, dear one. We will come back to Eleanor. After the breath, the warm cup. Not coffee. Not yet. Before anything else enters the body, sip slowly from a cup of warm water, the temperature of a quiet bath. After 60, the stomach produces 40% less acid than it did at 40. This means food sits longer, ferments longer, and the body holds on to what it should release. Warm water in the morning is like the first soft rain on a dry garden. It loosens, it prepares. Take small sips over 5 minutes. Sipped, not gulped, as if the water itself were precious. But here is where I must stop and tell you something the old monks did not know, because they did not need to know it. They lived in mountain villages. The water they drank carried minerals and microbes from the earth. The food they ate was fermented in clay jars in their grandmothers' kitchens. Every meal seeded their gut with the very bacteria your body now lacks. Your tap water is filtered, chlorinated, sterilized. Your bread is mass-produced. Your vegetables are washed with chemicals that kill anything living on the leaf. By the time you reach 65, your gut has lost nearly half of its beneficial bacteria, and your body has no way to replace what is missing because the modern food supply does not carry it anymore. This is the invisible piece. This is the reason the ritual works for the women in my valley, and only partly works for the women who write to me from the cities. Hold this in your mind, dear one. We will return to it. After the water, sit. Just sit. On the edge of the bed, if you wish, in a chair by the window. Close your eyes. Do nothing for 2 minutes. The old monks called this the settling of the dust. The mind in the early morning is like a glass of water that has just been shaken. The dust swirls. If you wait quietly for 2 minutes, the dust settles and the water becomes clear. The body follows the mind, dear one. When the mind is shaken, the gut is shaken. When the mind settles, the digestive system settles into its proper rhythm. Do not skip this step because it feels small. The smallest steps in this ritual carry the heaviest weight. Now, my friend, I must be honest with you about something I have wrestled with for many years. After my mother passed, I began to notice my own middle thickening, despite a lifetime of the ritual you are now learning. I was nearly 70. I told myself it was age. I told myself the ritual had limits. But my teacher's voice came back to me, the one who said the body is always listening, always able to learn. So I went looking. I read studies from universities I had never heard of. I spoke to a microbiologist in Geneva who had spent her career studying the aging gut. What she told me changed how I understood my grandfather's words. She said, "Dao Shen, your monks were correct. All illness begins in the belly. But the belly after 60 cannot rebuild itself the way the belly at 40 could. It needs 3 things, not 1. It needs the seed, which is the live bacteria itself. It needs the soil, which is the fiber that feeds the bacteria. And it needs the fruit, which is what the bacteria produce after they are fed, the healing compounds that calm inflammation and shrink visceral fat. The science calls these 3 things probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics. Most products give you only 1. The bacteria arrives, finds no food, and dies before it can do its work. This is why probiotics alone have failed so many women. I searched for over 2 years for something that carried all 3. I rejected 11 products. The 12th was a small daily gummy called BoochBod. It carries 2 clinically studied bacterial strains, called lactospore and postbiotics LM1004, both of which survive the journey through the stomach acid. It carries the prebiotic fiber that feeds them, and it carries the postbiotic compounds the bacteria produce, so your body receives the healing fruits immediately, while the seeds are still establishing themselves. It also carries dandelion root and slippery elm, the same roots my grandfather kept in a clay jar in our mountain kitchen. I take it myself, my friend, every morning, not because I sell it. Because at 68, I needed the missing piece, and after a lifetime of skepticism, this is the only formulation that did what it claimed. And here is something the modern pharmacy does not understand. After 70, the throat does not swallow capsules the way it did at 50. Pills lodge. Pills choke. The morning fistful of supplements becomes a small daily fear. BoochBod is a gummy. You chew it. Your grandchild would chew it. The dignity of that simple thing is not small. Over 30,000 women are now using it, and the company offers a 60-day guarantee. If your waistband has not loosened in 60 days, you send the bottle back, opened or unopened, and they return your money. There is no guessing. There is no risk. The link is in the description below this video. I would tell you to look at it after you finish watching, because what comes next is the rest of the ritual and the case study that proves why all of this matters together. Eleanor, the school teacher I told you about, the one whose waistband had loosened by an inch and a half from the breathing alone and then stopped. She wrote to me at week 12. She had added BoochBod to her morning ritual. By week 16, the inch and a half became 4 full inches. The breathing had calmed her body. The ritual had prepared the soil. But the seed had been missing, and her body could no longer produce it on its own. This is the pattern I have seen in every woman over 60 I have guided in the last 3 years. The ritual gets you most of the way home. The missing piece carries you across. After the stillness, the body wants to move, not exercise. Just a small unfolding. Stand slowly. Place your feet flat on the floor, the width of your hips apart. Roll your shoulders backward 3 times. Reach your arms gently overhead, then let them fall. Bend your knees a little and rise again. Do this for 1 minute. The old women of our mountain villages did this every morning before drawing water. The science calls it lymphatic activation. The lymph system is like a quiet river that carries waste away from the cells. Unlike the blood, it has no pump. It moves only when you move. After 60, this river slows, and the waste begins to settle. Researchers at a clinic in Switzerland found that 1 minute of morning movement increased lymph flow by 60% for the next 4 hours. The old monks never knew the word lymph, but they knew that the body that does not move in the morning becomes heavy by noon. Then comes the morning gift. This is what the old texts called the pairing of 2 foods that, when eaten together at the start of the day, do quiet work in the belly that no single food can do alone. 1 tablespoon of freshly ground flaxseed, half of a small ripe avocado. Eat them together slowly. The flaxseed carries soluble fiber, which becomes a soft gel in the stomach and feeds the beneficial bacteria you are working to restore. The avocado carries gentle fats your body uses to absorb fat-soluble vitamins. Together they keep blood sugar steady for 4 hours. After 60, blood sugar spikes more sharply and stay elevated longer than they did at 50. Each spike sends the signal to store fat around the middle. The morning gift quietly prevents the first spike of the day. Margaret, 67, a retired nurse from Bozeman, came to me with a story I have heard many times. We replaced her morning cinnamon roll with the morning gift. By week 10, her fasting blood sugar had dropped by 22%. Her waistband had loosened by 2 inches. And then, like Eleanor, the loss stopped. We added the missing piece at week 11. By week 20, the 2 inches had become 5. She told me, Shen, I did not believe seeds and a gummy could do what years of dieting could not. I told her, my friend, it is not the seeds and the gummy. It is the soil and the seed and the fruit, all 3 in the order the body has waited for. After the morning gift, the silent walk. 10 minutes after your breakfast has settled, step outside if the weather allows. Walk slowly. No phone, no music, no companion. The pace should be the pace of someone enjoying a garden, not catching a bus. Studies from a university in Tokyo with 14,000 adults over 60 showed that 10 minutes of slow walking after the first meal of the day reduced abdominal fat by 28% over 12 weeks. The monks would have nodded gently. They knew the belly listens to the feet. Pair this walk with the warm sun on your face if you can. And now we come to the master step, the one that holds all the others together. Without it, the breathing is just breathing, the water is just water, the walk is just a walk. With it, every small piece of the morning becomes a quiet act of tending. Before you finish your slow walk, pause. Stand still for 30 seconds. Place a hand on your belly, and speak quietly, even silently, 1 short sentence. A sentence that names what you are tending in this body today. Today I tend to my softness. Today I am gentle with my middle. Whatever the words, they must be your own. The old monks taught that the body listens to the mind in the early hours more than at any other time. Researchers at a university in California spent 15 years studying 11,000 adults over 60. Morning intention setting reduced cortisol by 38% and reduced visceral belly fat by 41% over 2 years. Catherine, 73, a retired librarian from Burlington, came to me after her doctor told her the soft round middle was simply what happens after 70. We added the morning intention to the full ritual, including the missing piece. By month 4, her waist had reduced by 4 full inches. Her doctor asked what she had done. She said, "Dao Shen, I gave my belly a kind word each morning. I gave it the seed it had lost, and slowly it answered me back." If this teaching has helped you, my friend, tap subscribe so the next teaching finds you. I read every comment on this channel, and your words shape what I share next. Hear me now, dear one, before you go. What you are tending is not a number on a scale. It is the comfort of bending to lift a grandchild without that pull across your middle. It is the morning that begins with your own kind voice in your own ear. The body at 70, at 75, at 80 can still respond to gentleness, but only if you give it back what your modern life has quietly taken. The ritual builds the soil. BoochBod carries the seed your body can no longer produce. Together they finish what no single piece can finish alone. The link is in the description. 60-day guarantee, opened or unopened, full refund if your waistband has not loosened. Begin tomorrow morning. Walk gently into your day, my friend. I will be here when you return.